The days that followed were a blur of anxiety and tension. We decided to keep the pregnancy a secret for now, unsure of how to break the news to our family. Jake and I spent countless hours talking, trying to come to terms with our situation and make a plan for the future. One evening, as we sat together in the living room, Jake turned to me with a determined look in his eyes. "We need to tell Mom and Dad," he said. "We can't keep this a secret forever. They need to know." I nodded, my stomach churning with nerves. "You're right," I said. "But how do we even begin to tell them?" "We'll do it together," he replied. "We'll explain everything and face the consequences. But we need to be honest with them." The thought of facing our parents filled me with dread, but I knew he was right. We couldn't hide from the truth forever. The next day, we sat our parents down in the living room, our hearts pounding with fear. As we began to speak, their expressions shifted from confusion to shock to disbelief. The silence that followed our confession was deafening, and I braced myself for their reaction. Our mother was the first to speak, her voice trembling with emotion. "How could this happen?" she asked, tears in her eyes. "How could you let this happen?" I felt a pang of guilt and shame. "It was a mistake," I said quietly. "We didn't mean for it to happen. But it did, and now we have to deal with it." Our father, usually calm and composed, looked at us with a mixture of anger and sadness. "This is going to change everything," he said. "Our family, our lives. Everything." We spent the next few hours talking, crying, and trying to come to terms with the situation. It was one of the hardest conversations of my life, but in the end, we knew we had to stick together as a family. As the days turned into weeks, we slowly began to adjust to our new reality. It wasn't easy, and there were still moments of tension and uncertainty, but we were determined to face it together. I knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but with the support of my family, I believed we could find a way to navigate the challenges and build a future for the baby growing inside me. In the weeks that followed our confession to our parents, life at home was tense but gradually began to stabilize. My parents, though still struggling to come to terms with the situation, were supportive. They understood that we had to find a way forward together. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, Jake and I decided to take a walk to clear our heads. We walked in silence for a while, the cool night air providing a welcome respite from the emotional heat of the last few weeks. "Do you ever think about what it'll be like?" Jake asked, breaking the silence. "Raising this child together?" I sighed, glancing up at the stars. "All the time. It scares me, but at the same time, I feel this strange sense of determination. We have to make this work, Jake. For the baby's sake." He nodded, his expression serious. "We will. We'll figure it out, one step at a time." Our walks became a nightly ritual, a way for us to connect and plan for the future. We discussed everything from finances to living arrangements, knowing that our lives would never be the same again. One day, while we were sitting on a park bench, Jake turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Lily, I've been thinking. Maybe we should move out. Find a place of our own. It might be easier for everyone if we had some space." The idea both excited and terrified me. Moving out would mean more independence, but it also meant leaving the safety and support of our parents. "Do you think we're ready for that?" I asked. He shrugged. "I don't know, but I think it's something we need to consider. We can't stay at home forever, and it might be better for the baby to grow up in a place where there's no tents." After much discussion and planning, we decided to look for a small apartment nearby. We found a modest place that we could afford, and with the support of our parents, we moved in. The first night in our new home was both exhilarating and daunting. As we unpacked boxes and set up furniture, I couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. We were starting a new chapter, and despite the challenges, we were doing it together. The months passed quickly. I continued my prenatal visits, and Jake started working extra hours to save money for the baby. We attended parenting classes and read every book we could find about raising a child. Our bond grew stronger, and though the situation was far from ideal, we were determined to provide the best life possible for our baby. One evening, as we were preparing dinner, I felt a sudden sharp pain in my abdomen. I gasped, clutching the counter for support. Jake rushed to my side, his face pale with worry. "Lily, what's wrong?" I think it's time," I managed to say between breaths. We hurried to the hospital, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. The labor was long and painful, but finally, after what felt like an eternity, our baby girl was born. The moment I held her in my arms, all the fear and uncertainty melted away. She was perfect, and I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. Jake stood by my side, his eyes filled with tears as he looked at our daughter. "She's beautiful," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. I nodded, unable to speak, overwhelmed by the love I felt for this tiny new life. In that moment, I knew that everything we had gone through was worth it. We were a family, and we would find a way to make it work. As we brought our baby home for the first time, I felt a sense of peace. Life would be challenging, and there were still many hurdles to overcome, but with Jake by my side and our family's support, I knew we could handle anything. We had created something beautiful out of a difficult situation, and that gave me the strength to face the future with hope and determination. How would you have acted if you were the parents of these siblings? Tell us your thoughts on this story in the comments and watch one of our previous videos. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for subsequent videos. Thank you.